Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be starting this series. So welcome to Sewing with Teshie or Sewing 101 with Teshie. I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet. Maybe Sewing with Teshie. I think I like that one. So this is the first episode of our series. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. That was my phone. I should probably put it on silent. But actually, let me put it back. So as I was saying, I've always wanted to create more sewing videos. Yeah, I've always wanted to create more sewing videos, but I've just mostly not really had the time, and aside from having time, I've not really had the best equipment because guys, I learned how to sew on YouTube and it's a skill. Like I usually look at some of those sewing YouTubers and I'm just like, how did you guys do this? Because the angles that are required, you need to have a proper tripod to be able to film some of the shots that you need to film to show the public how to do some certain things. Also, just like it's difficult to sew and film at the same time, guys, is so difficult. So I have one sewing video, maybe I'll link it up here so that you, and also in the description box, so that you guys can go and check it out. I was basically doing like a cute DIY of how to transform some pants to make them look, you know, more stylish. So you can definitely go and check that out. But then this is going to be the proper launch of my sewing series. So in this video I wanted to start with something very basic because I want someone who's never ever sewn anything in their life or bought any sewing equipment to be able to come to this video and start from the beginning and, you know that they can actually do this. Because to be honest, guys, I never went to, prior to teaching myself how to sew, I hadn't been to any fashion school. I didn't do home science in school, so I didn't really have much of a background in sewing. I just really loved fashion. I knew I wanted to create my own fashion and I decided to teach myself. And how did I teach myself? On YouTube. So this is going to be a platform for me to also share with you guys how to learn how to sew. And I just also wanted to start this series because I realized that there are barely any channels in Kenya focusing on fashion, and not really fashion like, you know, showcasing looks, but like the skills related to fashion. So that's sewing, pattern making, stuff like that. So I think there are a few. I've seen like a DIY channel, I think Fashion Wizardry, and she does like sewing DIY videos, how to like pimp up different outfits from like a really boring look to like a really vavoom look. But there are not that many out there, so I hope this could be that platform for you guys. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So I think one of the most basic things you need in your sewing kit. So basically I'm going to be sharing with you guys what's in my sewing kit. I know it's such a mess. I should probably actually like sort this out or get a better sewing kit because I've been using this for very long. And then you can see my sewing machine is in the background, but we'll get to that soon. Let me just pick up something. Okay, so the first thing I think you'll need in your sewing kit is definitely a tape measure. This is very important. This is like the first step of sewing any garment, is to measure the person who you're sewing the garment for. So you need to be able to take very good measurements. I have two tape measures. Wow, this is a mess, guys. Oh gosh. So there's this one. This is just, oh god, I don't know if this is gonna focus. So it has inches on one side and then it has centimeters on the other side. I like that it's white, so it's really clear to see and it's easy to use. I also have this one. I think this should be a bit more cheaper. Please focus on my sewing machine. Yeah, so I think this should be cheaper, but it also has the inches on one side and the centimeters on the other side. So having a good tape measure is the basic of any sewing anything. So get yourself a good tape measure. So in the next video I'll also share with you guys where you can buy some of these items in Kenya. Actually all of these items in Kenya. So this video is just basically for you to know, like write your shopping list of what exactly you need to have in your sewing kit. Okay, so then let's go to the second thing. The second thing I think you'll definitely need is needles. So apart from having a sewing machine, which you're gonna get to, it's very important I think to know basic sewing, basic hand sewing. So like know how to do a back stitch, know how to do some hemming, know how to do a running stitch, just those basic stitches. And for that you definitely need needles. Let me see where I have some of my needles. So I'm also using, this is Bakita's Bakita's my sister. This is her sewing kit. She does home science, so hers is a bit like smaller than mine, but her things are just more organized. So for some of the things which I can't really find of mine, I'm going to show you with hers. So these are basic needles. It's nice to get like a packet of needles with different sizes, just so that you can get different, you have needles for different fabrics, because different fabrics require you to use different needles. You know, like if it's a thicker fabric, it might require a fatter needle and all of that. Okay, actually these ones are for the sewing machine. So actually these are not the ones I should be showing you guys. I'm sorry. These are sewing machine needles. Why does she have sewing machine needles? Anyway, so let me try and look for some of my needles. Mine are all over the place. Oh my gosh. Oh, I definitely need to sort out my sewing kit. But yeah, so this is like a basic needle. I'm sure you guys know how a basic needle looks. So that's like a normal, pretty normal size. Yeah, but then I have various sizes. So I also have a smaller one. So let me just show you the difference in sizes. Wow. Wow. Yeah, so just basic needles for various threads, fabrics. The third thing you will need is good thread, very good thread. So if you're doing, this is so important, if you're hand sewing, it's easy to use like most types of threads, but when you're buying thread, you also have to be wary of the type of sewing machine you have, because this is something that I learned from experience. Because some of the threads, like this types, I have various types of threads. I have these types of thread, and I think what I really mean by thread is how it's wound over the stick that it's wound on. So I have these ones which I bought. These are the ones I use for my sewing machine. And then I have these normal ones. These are the ones you'll probably find in most places with a white thing, as opposed to, I think you guys can see the difference. That has like 2 double layers in between, while this one has just 1 big layer. This has a wider surface, while this one has just that thinner surface. So it's very important to have good thread. So yeah, threads. I think I'm gonna get more into threads when I'm talking about my okay, let me actually just talk about it now. So my machine, which is another thing you'll need, so maybe from threads you can move straight to the machine. I definitely think it's important, if you really want your sewing to be really good, it's definitely important to have a sewing machine. Hand sewing will first of all take way too much time, and you might not do, most of the time you won't do such a neat job. A sewing machine really helps to streamline the process and make your sewing really neat. So I have this sewing machine. Then we can talk about the thread. Sewing machine, let me carry my baby. So this is the sewing machine I have. It's from Brother. It's the model GS2700. Yeah, so I think, and it has so you can see on my left side, so that's probably on your right, it has the various stitches that it can do. Mine can do 27 various stitches, and then yeah, we'll get into a sewing machine. I think I'll have a video where I just talk about like a sewing machine, but and different parts of a sewing machine and how to navigate it and all of that. But this is a really good sewing machine. Actually, it's a really good sewing machine. Like a lot of before I went to buy the sewing machine, I did some research, and this was also recommended from the shop that I bought the sewing machine from in Kenya, because it's good for beginners, but it's also good for like people who are more advanced in their sewing, because there are so many options of stitches. And it's just Brother is a really good brand for sewing machines. I think it's like the best in my opinion. So yeah, sewing machine is very important. So various sewing machines are made in different ways, and various sewing machines work well with different types of threads. So from my experience and from research, I realized that when I would use threads that were like this that I showed you, another example of this is this or these ones with the white, this was even a bit better because it was plastic. This one with the paper cardboard, this one I struggled. So these types of threads are better for a sewing machine where the, what's this thing called? I think it's called a spool. Okay, just know this thingy, I'll get the name for the next video. This thingy where you put the thread on, for my sewing machine, mine is vertical. For some sewing machines, this thing will be horizontal. So these types of threads that I showed you are better for a sewing machine where this thing is horizontal. But then for this one of mine where it's vertical, I need such threads with a wider base for it to properly sit on the sewing machine and be stable, because the other ones are a bit more unstable on mine. So I would find that my sewing would form a lot of loops, which we'll talk about more, and it wouldn't be, the sewing wouldn't be neat. But when I use such threads, these are better for my machine. These ones are actually more expensive and they're really difficult to find in Kenya. A lot of the ones you'll find in Kenya are these ones. So for these ones, you have to go to some specific fabric shops to find them. Okay, we've talked about a sewing machine. So right now you have a tape measure, you have needles, you have thread, and you have a sewing machine. Okay, the next step is to have a really good pair of scissors. Like you don't want to be cut. Actually, this should have been number 2 on the list after a tape measure. You don't want to be cutting your threads with blunt scissors. So a good pair of scissors is vital, guys. Did you get it? Actually, there's nothing to get anyway. So a good pair of scissors is really vital for your sewing game to be on point. So these are the ones I'm using. So once you buy this really good sharp pair of scissors, don't use the same scissors for cutting other things, like for cutting cardboard, for cutting paper. Dedicate these scissors for cutting weed or whatever you may be cutting using your scissors to cut. Just this one should just be for your fabric, just so that you don't affect it in any way. Okay, the next thing I think you'll definitely need, actually this is a must also, is pins. So let me tell you guys, and on top of just having pins, you need to also have a container or where you keep your pins. If you don't have a container, get a pin cushion. I think pin cushions are actually better because you don't have to open it. You can easily like pick out the pin and put back the pin into the cushion when you're done. And you can actually make your own pin cushion, so you don't have to buy a pin cushion. Maybe we can actually work on making a pin cushion together in one of these videos. I need to probably write that idea. But yeah, you guys, you see, once you start filming, you always get new ideas to film new videos. So for me, I need to actually make that pin cushion for myself. So that's definitely going to be one of the projects we work on, because look at what I'm using to store my pins, guys. These are just some magnets that you use to like clasp shirts. So they're like some clasping things that you use to close a jacket, or I don't know what they're called, like those magnetic button things which you use to close like a jacket or something like that. So I bought some of them, and then that's what, or to close a purse or a bag, so those things. And that's what I'm using to to store my pins. Like, guys, I need to get serious with my life. What is this? So Bakita here, on the other hand, is more organized than me. So she has her pins stored in a container. But as I said, I think a pin cushion would be the best thing. The next thing I think you should definitely have is a seam ripper. Guys, you're going to learn the hard way. If you don't have a seam ripper, when you do a mistake and you're trying to cut off those stitches with scissors, you will die, let me tell you, and you might also ruin the fabric. So definitely a seam ripper is the next on the list. This is how a seam ripper looks. This is to help you undo stitches if you've made a mistake, and make sure to have a cover for the seam ripper because you don't want to be poking yourself and getting hurt in the process. So definitely a seam ripper. What else? I think that's the basic. Okay, I'll also give you 2 other things and then we can wrap up this video for today. So another basic thing I think you'll need starting out, maybe you might not start with it, but I think it's really important to have. These are things that I used to like ensure that a garment fits properly, or to close up a garment, or to, you know, fasten up a garment, and those are buttons, zips, and elastic. So sometimes you don't necessarily need to have something that you like, a zip or a button, but you can use elastic to, you know, make sure that it properly sits on your body well. So buttons are definitely, just get some simple cute buttons, and we're going to have a video where we, oh god, okay, just look at the buttons here. I'll have a video where I show you guys how to, you know, make a buttonhole, attach a button to the garment and all of that in a later video. So do not worry guys, I got you. And even these ones, I need to find a better place to keep them. Like, what is this? I'm actually a joker, you guys. I'm such a joker. Okay, I think I'll put them here for now. Okay, so on top of that, you also need a zips, which I mentioned earlier. I have various sizes of zips. Some are better for pants, like this would probably be good for pants. This would probably be good for like a dress that's going down like this, so the longer zips. So just basic zips would be good. And then elastic, I use elastic a lot, especially when you're starting out. Attaching zips can be really difficult. Actually, I'm still trying to master zips, so sometimes making garments that don't require such good fitting, especially in the beginning, you probably don't want to start with a garment that requires perfect fitting. You probably want to start with like more loose garments because those are easier to do. Then definitely having elastic will really help you out. So this is the elastic that I use. It's a few meters long. So yeah, what else have I left anything out of the basics? Because these are the basics. Okay, I'd also say you would also need tailor stroke. So you can use, actually I don't even have tailor stroke. I just use a pencil that I've dedicated to marking the pattern onto my fabric. But if you can get tailor stroke, then definitely use tailor stroke. It's a really good tool. You'll definitely need something that you can use to mark your patterns, or where you're going to cut out the fabric that you're going to be sewing. Hey guys, so I just had to come in and add something that I forgot, which is something so basic. Like, it's the most basic of the basic and I forgot about it. But another thing that you will need to start your sewing journey is obviously fabric. So I would suggest starting with cotton fabric. Cotton fabric is very easy to handle, it's easy to deal with, it sews well, it's not slippery, so it's very easy to work with for a beginner. So definitely get yourself some cotton fabric. You can get cute kanga fabric like this, or you can just get plain cotton fabric. Either way, cotton is a really good option to start with. And there you go, those are the basic things that you need to start your sewing journey. And yeah, I think that is it guys. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions about what basic sewing equipment you need, that's the basic sewing equipment, then definitely leave it down in the description box. If you have any questions about what types of topics you want me to cover in this series, also leave, I'm not in the description box, in the comment section down below. make sure to subscribe to this channel for more sewing videos coming to you soon. Guys, this is quarantine season, and quarantine season is going to be used to upskill and upgrade and just learn a lot, you know. So definitely subscribe to this channel. I'm going to try and upload as much as possible, and I really hope this was helpful. Without further ado, okay, actually that expression doesn't really make sense what I was going to say. But anyway, before I ramble on for too long, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll definitely see you in my next video. Goodbye.